Hey everybody, happy Friday. So, I'm back again. This is my lipstick dialogue time. Normally I do it in the Broken to Heal Incorporated Women's Fellowship group, but tonight I want to go to the main page. Based on what we're going to talk about, this is not just for women. This conversation is going to be good for both men and women. So, this is what I need you to do. I need you to jump on. I need you to let me know that you're on when you get here. Say hello, wave at me, do something, give me some hearts, give me some thumbs up. And in addition, I need you to share, share, share. So while I'm waiting for people to come on, I'm waiting for you to join me because I promise you're going to love this conversation. So I'm going to invite a few people, give me a minute, and then we're going to talk. We're going to talk a little bit, y'all. We're going to talk a little bit. So like I said before, do me a favor, swipe and invite, swipe and invite. Just give me a second. Give me a second. I'll get started. The last conversation we had was really, really good. We talked about treat her where you meet her. That's the last conversation we had. But today we're going to talk about something a little different. And I promise you're going to enjoy this. So give me a minute. I'm just inviting a few additional people. And then we'll kind of go from there. So hey everybody. Hey everybody. So, of course, now my phone want to act crazy. Just give me a second. All right. So, come on. What I need you to do is when you're on, say hello. That way that I know that you're here. But also share, share, share. Because we're going to talk about something that's important to both men and women. Especially when you are dating. Now, be clear. I'm not a dating expert, but I've had some experiences. So I ever want everybody to come in, put your experiences in. You know what I mean? Share your conversations. This is a no judgment zone, and we're going to keep it moving. So now, and again, remember, this conversation is for both men and women, but mostly this conversation is for single men and women. Hey, Heather, this conversation is for single men and women who are on the dating scene. This is not about being a Christian. This is not about faith or religion. This is about single men and women on the dating scene. Heather, thank you so much for sharing. So the title of this live is called Sleeping with the Enemy. And I know you're probably wondering what we're going to talk about, but here it goes. Have you, and again, this conversation is for single men and women in the dating process. So, have you ever met somebody, right? And on the outside, everything about them seemed quote unquote perfect. On paper, everything about them seemed perfect. They were the man or the woman of your dreams. You know, that's what we say, right? But all of a sudden, the more time you spend with them, it starts feeling like the bells, the alarms, you know what I mean? The sirens start going off. But what do? We kind of be like, well, no, maybe it's just me. You know what I mean? Maybe it's me with trust issues. And so what you do is you override the bells. You override the alarm. You override the flag, right? But here's the problem with that. You know, a lot of times, and again, these are my opinions. You don't have to agree. They are not universal. I think a lot of times in our search for the one, sometimes we're not patient. Sometimes we override common sense. Sometimes we override the discernment or what we call intuition, right? Because people are afraid often to ask the right questions. So, in my opinion, whenever you meet somebody, I think that you should take your time. You should go through a process of dating. You should spend some time maybe talking with them on the phone. You should spend some time, even if you do actually go out on an actual date with them, I think you should go to places that are public. Now, we're real quick, especially women, we real quick to invite these dudes to our house. We real quick to do that without ever doing any kind of background check. Now, you probably won't agree with me, but if I meet somebody, whether the bells and the whistles are going off, I do some type of background check, right? Not because I want to get into their personal business, But I want to know, have you ever been to jail? Because sometimes they're not going to offer up that information. Have you ever been to prison? Uh, you know what I mean? You been in any trouble? Like, what is your history like, right? We live in a world of technology where information is readily available on the internet. You can do an offender search. That means if they've ever been in jail, prison, or if they, you know what I mean, all of that information will come up. You have been verified. You can do background checks on people. Now, I know that sounds kind of crazy, but here's the problem. As a single mom, that's what I was at one point in my life. As a single mom, it was important to me that I did not allow people around my daughter that could potentially do her harm, right? And sometimes, even on my best day, I allowed some people to slip through the cracks. Why? Because on the outside, they look like, you know what I'm saying? He was the bomb.com. You know what I mean? He seemed to be everything. He was saying all the right things. He was making all the right promises. But then you find out along the way that perhaps he needs to be taking some meds. I've had those experiences. I've had those experiences where without really checking to see who this person was and checking their background, I invited these people to my personal space, which meant not only are they in my personal space, but they also in my daughter's personal space. And I've had experience with what me and my brother call bush hiders. Y'all know what those are. You come home and they hiding in your bushes, or you at home and they sneaking outside your window trying to see who else is in the house with you, or they show up at your job all unannounced. For me personally, I don't find that attractive. No, there's nothing cute about it. And not only, you know what I mean? So let me go ahead and make this confession. I've also been guilty of doing that, right? There's still nothing cute about it. Either way, whether I did it or somebody did it to me, right? But the problem is I see so many articles with women who their boyfriends killed their children or their boyfriends hurt their children. You know what I mean? I've heard men say that they dated a woman and she took all of his money. I mean, I literally met somebody who said that somebody stole $50,000 from them. They stole it from their bank account. But that was somebody that they had invited into their home. That was somebody that they had let close to them, right? And I bet you that at some point in that, the bells and the whistles were going off. Because even when I look back at my own experiences with people who were not stable mentally, the bells and the whistles were already going on. I felt that. I could feel that there was something not right about it, but I overrode it, right? Ladies, gentlemen, if you're out here dating, don't be afraid to ask the right questions. Now, we know people lie, right? They lie. Don't be afraid to check. If nothing else, check to see if they have a criminal background. Check. You know what I mean? You want to know what kind of person you're getting in a relationship with. I want to know if I'm getting in a relationship with somebody who got debt up to the ceiling and they coming into my life because they want me to rescue them. Or worse, their debt will become my debt. I want to know if I'm getting into a relationship with somebody who has had past history of domestic abuse. Those are the kind of things that I want to know. I want to know if I'm getting in a relationship with somebody who could potentially be a registered sex offender. And you have the right to do everything that you need to do to protect yourself. Now, again, I'm telling you, I understand that people may not agree with me, but your job do a background check on you. Some schools do a background check on you, right? I don't even care. So what's the problem? Now, if you don't agree, say something. If you do agree, if you think, okay, it's not going to change nothing because I'm still going to Google and I'm still going to search because that's what I do, right? You can tell me because, oh, I got trust issues, whatever. No, I don't care. I'm checking because people lie. They can look sane as all get out and be crazy as crazy can be, right? You don't know. Crazy don't have a particular look. Crazy don't come with a label. I bet you at least one or two other people have had an experience with somebody who showed up at their house unannounced on some obsessive type love. You know what I'm saying? That whole, who you talking to? Who's in your house? I'm telling y'all, I had this experience once when I was like in my 20s. I promise you, I cannot make this stuff up. I was in my 20s. I lived in Greensboro, and I hadn't even had my kid yet. So I had met this gentleman, and like I said, being young and being dumb, I had invited him to my place. We hung out, it's whatever. But I didn't think anything about it. And I lived in a townhouse apartment. So you know what those are. They got the upstairs and the downstairs, right? Literally, I promise y'all, one night I'm in my house by myself. I'm watching television, and I keep hearing this strange ruckus in my backyard because my bedroom window faced the back of the complex, right? And since these are townhouse apartments, they're like individual units. I promise y'all, I looked out the window and he out there looking real stupid, jumping up and down like there's no way you're going to be able to see who's in the room. But the point was there was nobody in the room. There was nobody in the house. But the craziness in his brain thought that my TV playing and the voices that he was hearing on the TV was another dude in my house. Y'all, let me tell you something. I almost lost my mind. And not because I was afraid. I almost lost my mind because you done lost your mind. I done had to call the police on him and everything. And the police had to tell me to tell him, listen, that I didn't want him to come back. That's why it's important to know who you're dating. That's why it's important to know who you are giving access to your private life, right? You mess around. I put that title. You mess around, you're going to find yourself sleeping with the enemy. They could be a serial killer. They could be, you know what I mean? They could be a bunch of things. But we don't check, right? We don't check, right? We just take them at their word. But here's the real problem with all of this. It's not only that you don't check, you override your own common sense. I know I'm not the only one. That I have been around somebody, and I promise you, every warning system inside of me was going off. I promise you, I could see the sirens, I could hear the sirens, I could see the flags, right? Because your intuition will tell you when you get close to that and something's wrong with their spirit or something's just not right about that situation, your intuition will tell you. We call it in church your discernment. Whatever, it's the same thing. We all have it. There is not a person living that does not have intuition or discernment. The problem is we're not all using it, right? Because we want what we want when we want it so bad that we override the thing that God has given us, right? To keep us safe. We do it. And especially, especially if you find yourself in a place of desperation where you feel you want some, oh, I just got to have a relationship. And this is both men and women. This is not, women don't just do this. There are men out here too. They just want to be in a relationship. They just want to be in a situation. There's women. They just want to be in a relationship. And they want to be in it so bad that they override their common sense. Right? Now, especially parents, if you're a single parent, let me say this. Let me drop this piece of advice on you. If you are a young lady, I don't care. If you're single and you're a young lady and you have your children in your home, please let me give you this advice. You could take this with you to the grave. Your children should not know every man that you know. What does that mean? Every man that you know should not be coming to your house. Every man that you know, you should not be introducing them. Hey Vicky, you should not be introducing your children to them. You should not be exposing your children to them. Why? Because you send out the wrong message. What if you meet somebody and he's not the one and he don't make it 2 days, but you done brought this dude over to your house. Then you're going to meet another dude and you're going to bring the next dude. You're going to bring another dude and you're going to meet the next dude. If you haven't even taken the time to do what you need to do to make sure this dude is safe, you should not be bringing this dude around your kids. You understand that? Let me say that one more time. This is for the ladies. Ladies, because I'm a woman, I can only speak to being a woman. I've been a woman since February the 11th, 1970, since I arrived here in the earth realm. Ladies, if you are dating, I don't care how old you are, if you are dating and you have children, especially if you have children in your home, your children should not know every man that you know. Hey, Vicky. Hey, y'all. They shouldn't, right? Even when I was in the world, I had a rule. If I was seeing you or we talking or whatever that is that people do, you can come over my house when my child go to bed. But you're going to be gone before she wake up. She ain't going to never know you was over there. Because my kids should know every man that I know. That's irresponsible, that is reckless, and that is dangerous. And then you wonder when stuff happens to your kids because some man done touched your daughter, or because some man done touched your son, or somebody done did something to your kids, and then you looking around like you don't know what happened. It's your fault. It's your fault because you're the adult. You're supposed to be the one that protects your children at all costs. And sometimes you're going to have to protect them against you and your shenanigans. Y'all see my shirt, shenanigans. Your shenanigans and your foolishness. Right? I understand. I've been a single mom. I know, and I was young, a single mom. Right? So I understand that, yeah, you want to date, you want adult company, but you got to be careful. Right? You got to be careful. Because you don't know who you're inviting into your home. Not only that, you don't know what spirit they are releasing and leaving behind. And then you're going to be wondering why your child acting crazy. You're going to be wondering why you done picked up some extra things that you didn't even know nothing about. Because you're letting people into your personal space before even getting to know them. Learn how to date in public, right? Don't be, if I meet somebody and he don't want to be out in public, he just want me all up his house, he just want to be all up in my, he's suspect to me. Why? Why we can't be out in public? You married? You got another girlfriend? Why? What's the problem? You running from the law? That's the kind of stuff I need to know, right? Because we're not secrets. We're not being hidden. I understand what people be like, oh, well, they don't want everybody in their business. I get that. I'm like that too. But sometimes people use that as an excuse because they got some other stuff that they're hiding. Right? I don't mind us chilling at the crib sometimes, but I also want to go out in public. But if it's always private, you need to check that. We just got to do better. You know what I mean? And like I said, I know everybody's not going to agree with me, especially on the background check thing. But listen, y'all, I promise you, I could have saved myself a lot of heartache. I could have saved myself a lot of yelling and screaming at people. I could have saved myself if I just would have checked. Right? And I asked the right questions. I asked people, if I meet you and we're going out on a date, I want to know, what's up with your kids? How you treat your kids? I'm watching that too. Because if he not taking care of his kids, don't come over here trying to take care of my kids. I don't have no respect for a man or a woman that is not handling their business and taking care of their children. How dare you go into somebody else's life and try to take care of their kids in an effort to win favor with that person or that parent, but meanwhile your children over here struggling? I don't have no respect for that. Pay attention. I ask, when was your last relationship? I ask. You know what I mean? How did that relationship end? Why did y'all break up? And then I listen. Right? I listen. If they get all defensive because they don't want to answer the questions, they probably going to get that. I told y'all that last time, the benediction. I'm the queen of the benediction. May the Lord watch between me and thee. Because we're going to be absent. Because you're leaving. Right? But don't be afraid to ask the questions. I need to know. You know what I mean? Did you graduate from school? What you do for a living? And it's not because I'm trying to check your pockets, right? I don't care nothing about what kind of money they have. That's not what this is about. You're asking the right questions because you want to know who you're getting involved in. If you're going to make an investment of your time, if you're going to make an investment of your energy, if you're going to make an investment of your heart, you need to know what you're making an investment in. You need to know who you are making an investment in, right? You need to know, right? And we live in a time, like I said before, we live in a time that you really should not be left in the dark about who you're dating. You shouldn't be left in the dark about who you're seeing. Why? Because I think I just seen somebody, the comments are coming up. I just seen some, I think Fee said it. We could do a background check. Come on, y'all. Especially young women, right? I understand that probably nobody ever had that conversation with them, but we're having the conversation now. And older women, y'all know better, right? If you've had any experience, all it takes is one bush hider and you'll know better. All it's going to take is one random dude, crazy dude, showing up at your house, jumping off your porch, and you're going to know better. All it's going to take is you invite the wrong person into your life and into your private space, and they do some old reckless shenanigans, right? Ask the questions. And what do I say all the time? Be patient. Wait. Go through the process. If I met you last week, now this is me. If I met you last week, we not getting married next week. I don't care what you talk about. Don't tell me that God sent or God said. I'm going to wait on it. I'm going to hear it from myself. Because ain't nobody got time. And then you rush, we rush, and we get into these relationships. We rush, and we get involved with these people, and we sleeping with the enemy. Right? People who can't even they got commitment issues. We sleeping with the enemy. They can't even manage their lives, sleeping with the enemy. And listen, just because he drive nice, just because he dress nice, that don't mean a thing. Because crazy people dress nice, crazy people drive nice. Do you know that psychopaths are probably the most well put together individuals that you'll ever meet? They usually dress nice. They usually are well put together, but they are crazy as, I got a word, I just can't say it. But y'all know what that word is. We got to do better. We absolutely got to do better. You know what I mean? You got to value your life. You know what I mean? I value my life. I don't want to lose my life at the hands of somebody who don't have their emotions intact. I don't want to lose my life at the hands of somebody who that's what they do. You know what I mean? And we can check. And then here's the thing. If you find out something, and I'm not talking about checking where you got the gossip where people are delivering. That's not the checking I'm talking about. I'm talking about you did a real live check, whatever, and you find some things that you don't like, be okay with walking away. Or be okay. And you notice that I don't ever tell y'all to tell them to leave, because that's too much power, right? I'm not about to give nobody that much power. If something ain't right between me and you ain't got to worry about it, baby. I don't need you to leave, because I'm going to get my little stuff, my heart, my feelings, my emotions, baby, and we leaving immediately. I'm not even going to spend no time. I'm going to be like the cartoons, honey. All you're going to see is my dust. I'm out. Over. Gone. We got to do better. And this is not just for women. Men, I'm saying the same thing to you. If you're single and you're out here dating, know who you're dating. You know what I mean? Is she taking care of her kids? Do she know? You know what I mean? Ain't nothing worse than a man who want a woman who can cook and she could do whatever. But y'all go out so much you don't even know. Can she boil water? You don't know. Because y'all don't take the time, right? You don't take the time to enjoy the journey, right? It's a progression when you're in relationships, right? It's a progression. And I know you can meet them and you can feel like, oh, you so in love. When people be like, oh, I just fell in love. It was love at first sight. That's wonderful. I'm not saying that. I'm not even having that conversation tonight. But what I am saying is, I don't care if that euphoric, wonderful feeling has appeared. Still take your time. Right? Take your time. Ask the right question. So that's what I said. Take your time. Ask the right questions. And don't be afraid to exercise your power thanks to modern technology. You know what I'm saying? You can do all kind of checks, right? Not because we're being nosy, we're being safe. And this is men and women, honey. This ain't just for women, men and women. I get tickled when I hear some of the stories about the people meet, but then it's not funny, right? Because you could have saved yourself from that, right? Because they didn't just get crazy yesterday. They probably was showing small signs of crazy, but they so fine. Well, they ain't that crazy. They probably just, that's what we do. Oh, they so fine. Okay. Well, he dressed nice. Oh, he got a good job. Don't nobody care that he got a good job. And what's that gonna do for you when he try to kill you? Huh? What's his good job gonna do for you when he trying to swing on you? What's his good job gonna do for you when he talking reckless to you? What's his good job gonna do for you? Right? And since I'm here, ladies, because the other night, I think some people thought I was having a gold digger conversation, but I wasn't. Since I'm here, ladies, listen. Yes, you want somebody, because that's what I said last night. Treat her, not last night, the other night. Treat her how you meet her. That's what I said to you before. And that still remains the same. However, what I will say to you is this, right? Stop depending on dudes to come and save the day. Stop depending on it. You know what I mean? Because niggas sell pipe dreams I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Dudes sell pipe dreams all the time. Heck, women sell pipe dreams. People out here running game all the time. Right? Rebuke online dating. It's just like picking up a hitchhiker. Come on, Fee. I like that. But now, I have heard some good stories about online dating. I've seen some I can't say nothing about that. But I get your point. You know what I mean? But listen, stop depending on these men to come and save the day. What were you doing? Again, what were you doing before he got there? How were you paying your rent before he got there? How was you buying groceries before he got there? Right? Stop depending on it. Because what you do is that you put yourself at their will. I told my daughter this. Everybody comes calling. If a man is giving you money, he paying bills, he buying food, he buying clothes, he getting hair done and nails done, put your money on it. Everybody comes calling. At some point, he's going to expect a return because it happens. Now, okay, for the men out there who are not like that, I'm clearly not talking about you. But I know some dudes that are like that. That if they spend a little coin, they get a little hair done and a little nails done, they have an expectation. Or worse, they think you're at their will. Ain't nothing worse than letting somebody buy you a car and every time things ain't going his way, he come trying to take the car away. Oh my God. That is ridiculous. Because that's the power that they have over you. I don't give nobody that type of power over me. I don't care if I gotta walk. No, thank you. Now, I don't mind you helping me or giving me gifts if that's what you want to do, but it's not mandatory. I'm 48 years old, very capable of taking care of myself. I work every single day. I'll do whatever I got to do as long as it's not breaking the law to make sure I got food. And I serve a God that provides. Let me go ahead and throw that in because I need y'all to understand that. Right? But listen, y'all, we got to do better. I don't want to see nobody I know on the news because they done ran up on some crazy dude because they didn't do their homework. I don't want to see nobody I know, they down at the municipal building because they done ran up on some crazy female and they didn't do their work. Females lie too. This ain't about this. Listen, we just not going to talk about dudes. Females lie too. Females say they have, I'm doing and woo, 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 and they're doing nothing. They just chilling at the crib. It's some of them too. It's some of them too. You know, in a perfect world, we would want everybody to keep it 100. In a perfect world, Sure, we want everybody to operate in integrity, but this is not a perfect world, right? Even on our best day, right? Life happens. Life happens. But a lot of times, we're not doing what we need to do to protect ourselves and to cover ourselves, right? And if you find yourself in a situation, like I said, and them bells and them alarms going off, or perhaps just something is not settling well, sometimes you can't figure out what it is. But if it's not settling well, take that as your sign that you don't have no business being there. Take that as a sign. When I meet somebody, I always pay attention to how they treat the people around them. How do they talk to their family? How do they talk to their friends? I even pay attention how do they talk to strangers, right? I like to see how do they handle people, because that's going to give you some idea of how they might handle you. I pay attention. How do they handle their life? I pay attention. But all of that comes through patience and waiting, right? Because again, you don't want to mess around and wake up and find out you're sleeping with the enemy. What does that mean? You done got hemmed up in a situation with somebody, because it's easy to get in these shenanigans. Oh my God. You know how easy it is to get in some shenanigans? Honey, but it's like pulling teeth and moving the earth to get out. I promise you it is. I don't, why is that? Why is it so easy? Especially if it's some mess. Oh my goodness. It feels like it's real easy to get into. But it takes a lifetime to get out. And sometimes you still paying the price. All because what? We didn't wait. All because we didn't listen to our intuition. We didn't listen to our discernment. It's working, y'all. I promise y'all, everybody out here, your discernment is working. Everybody got it. Your intuition, it's working. Everybody has it. But what the problem is, you're just not listening to it. So we got to do better. I got to do better. I'm saying this. I'm going to keep saying this, right? I understand everybody wants to be with somebody. People don't want to be alone. But we got to do better, right? You got to be willing to check. You got to be willing to ask the questions. Pay attention to the signs, right? Pay attention to the signs, right? People can't hide forever, right? Everybody's on their best behavior the first month or so. Now, some people go act crazy about 7 days in. But the pros, they be on their best behavior for a minute. But give them a minute. Give it some time. If you wait, the real them will reveal itself, right? Problem is we don't wait. Give it a minute. You'll see, right? And like I said, don't be afraid to ask the questions, because you don't want to end up with somebody that could potentially hurt you. You don't want to end up with somebody that's going to come in and turn your life upside down, and it's going to take you the next 5 to 10 years to pull your life back together. That ain't what you want. That's not love. That ain't even a like. You know what I mean? Don't be so desperate to have some thighs and broad chests and some hands to hold that you ignore the signs, right? That you ignore the signs. And here's the other thing. You might not agree, but this is me. You don't have to agree. The benefit of the doubt thing. When you know that you know, you ain't got no business over there, but you give them the benefit of the doubt. Why? Why? You already know. Why are you wasting your time? Huh? You could be meeting somebody else, but you got them in your life. And so what's really for you? You got this counterfeit in your life. And so the real deal can't come because you're so focused on the counterfeit. And then you'll be knowing it's a counterfeit. Come on, y'all. We got to do better. Right? We're not dumb. We're not weak. Being alone is not that bad. You know what I mean? Someone, the right one, will come along. But you have to be ready. But you gotta watch your own back. You know what I mean? I know it's so easy because some people are a master with words. You know what I'm saying? Like, they words drip like honey. They know the right things to say. They know the right things to do. And they do that to cause you to let your guard down. Right? And then when you let your guard down, what? what happens then? Right? Listen, time out for wasting time, making decisions that we know better. We know better. Especially when you get a certain age and you've had a certain level of experiences, you know better. There's no excuse for it. You know what I mean? That's the most heartbreaking thing. Like, yo, that's so heartbreaking. When I hear those kind of stories, when I see young mothers and they done left their kid with the dude they just met. Sometimes they didn't just meet him. They leaving their kids with the boyfriend. That's not their children. Mm-mm. That's heartbreaking. And because they didn't do the time, they didn't take the time, you know what I mean, to find out. And something happens to your child, that's heartbreaking, you know? And especially a lot of times people are more vulnerable and more open when they're going through things, especially if they're going through like financial crisis and they're stressed because they got bills that they need to have paid, or maybe they're going through some type of crisis because something major is happening in their life. How they treat moms is a good indicator on how they treat you. That's good, Fee. Ask how they feel about their mom. You don't have to ask directly. That's good. That's some good stuff, Fee. Y'all write that down. That's good. I've heard that one before too. Pay attention to how they treat their moms. I've heard pay attention to how they treat their mom and how they treat their sisters and stuff. The women in their life, the important women. I've heard that before, and I believe it. You know what I mean? Because I've also met men with mommy issues. Y'all know what that is, right? Where he didn't get what he needed as a kid from his mother. So when they grow up, right, because there's something missing. Maybe their mom was really young when she had them, or maybe things were happening. Their mom could have been on drugs. Their mom could have been in trouble a lot. Their mom could have been working on, it could have been anything. So they didn't get the things that they needed as they grew and they developed. So when they get older and they start dating, because they got mommy issues, sometimes they have issues with women because they're basing it on the issue that they had from their mom, right? Women have daddy issues. It's the same theory. Just like some women have daddy issues, there are men out here who have mommy issues, right? Just, you know what I mean? Because they didn't receive what they needed. Like each of us, we go through a hierarchy of development, right? There are different stages of development. And that when something is missing in those stages, or it's not adequate, we didn't get what we need on that level, or we just, whatever, it causes every other level after that to be off. That's the premise. It's a premise, right? And so when you encounter people with these mommy issues or these daddy issues, a lot of times they just got commitment issues, or, you know what I mean? They just real reckless in relationships, because that's how we learn how to love. That's how we learn to trust. You know what I mean? Our parents are the first people that we learn to love and trust. That's who we're in. And we're not talking about sexual, we're talking about relationship, which means we are connected. So those are the first people that we are connected to. And the thought is, if your mom and dad aren't giving you what you need, then how can you expect it from somebody else? But there's hope. You know what I mean? I always tell, I know somebody like that. And I tell them, you got to learn to come to trust, because that's really what that comes down to. Got to learn how to trust people. You know what I mean? And don't be ashamed. Like if that's your story where you didn't get what you needed growing up, you know what I mean? If that's your story, like if something, because people come from crazy home situations, you know what I mean? People went through crazy things as young kids. So because of that, they just didn't get the things that they needed emotionally. They didn't get the things that they needed mentally. Those are the things that carry the weight. Even though, you know what I mean? I know they probably didn't get the things that they needed in terms of clothes and food, but the emotion and the mental part, that was important. And so that if they don't get that, then it causes them sometimes not to be able to function adequately in relationships, right? But that's why you need to know who you're dealing with. That's why you need to ask the questions. Listen to them. Let's talk. Let's have conversation. That's why communication is so important. And like Fee said, you don't have to, some questions you don't have to just come on out like this the police. I'm not saying run it off like you're doing an interrogation session, but casual conversation. Just ask and then listen to what they're saying, right? Maya Angelou says, when a person tells you who they are, believe them, right? When a person, that's what Maya Angelou says. When a person tells you who they are, believe them. Don't override. If they say, look, I got some commitment issues. Okay, believe them. Now they have the ability to change, but until they come to a place where they are speaking that they no longer have those issues, you're going to have a person with some commitment issues, right? Listen, right? People will tell you. People tell them themselves. Even the best person, because I know there's people out here, they super con artists and scam artists. Unfortunately, that's just the way of the world. There are good people out here too. I want to make sure that I leave that point with you. I'm not saying that all men are bad. I'm not saying that all women are bad. What I'm simply saying is, if you're out here and you're dating, do your homework. If you're out here and you're dating, take the time to progress through the relationship. If that person is for you, then y'all don't have to rush in. Let it grow naturally. If that person is for you, then they're for you, right? You don't have to rush it. You don't have to force it. You don't have to push. Let it progress. But find out who you're with so you don't end up sleeping with the enemy. So you don't end up with a person that's going to come into your life and wreak havoc in your life. So that you don't end up with a person that could potentially harm your children. Because it's nothing worse than getting connected to a person that causes your life to become stagnant. Now, we all ain't going nowhere. Because I'm over here trying to fix crazy. And when I say that, I'm talking about crazy circumstances. I'm not talking about people. I'm not talking about mental illness. That's not the reference we're making. I'm talking about circumstances, right? There's just nothing attractive about it. I tell y'all this, so you know I got to slip this in because it seems right today. I say that love does not leave bruises. Well, I normally mean that in the sense of physical, right? That love does not hit you. Love does not swing at you. Love doesn't push you. Love doesn't shove you. And love doesn't call you derogatory names. That's normally what I'm referencing. But in this regard, love doesn't leave bruises. It's the same token that when a person comes into your life or you come into their life and y'all are building a relationship and y'all are in love, it shouldn't leave you worse. You shouldn't be in a relationship feeling worse than you felt before they came. You shouldn't be in a relationship where you're in fear. You shouldn't be in a relationship that's toxic. That is not love. That's settling and that's insanity. Right? Because you know better. We're not little kids. We grown people. You know right from wrong. And you know what crazy is and what crazy isn't. Or what's off in your situation. Right? But we have to be okay with, again, checking, asking the right questions, having the right conversation. We have to be okay with waiting. I promise you, it's going to work out for you. If that's what God has for you, whatever God has for you is for you. You don't have to, I promise y'all, you don't have to force it. I promise you, you just don't. And please know, all these conversations that we're having, I'm talking from experience. Because yes, as a younger lady, I made some dumb decisions. I allowed some people into my life that could have potentially hurt me and my daughter. I did, right? And I'm not ashamed of it. That was a part of my learning process. So I don't let anybody hold that over me. Get over it. That's what created the woman that you see today. I learned from it, I grew from it, and I do better. Life goes on, right? But thankfully, nothing ever happened to my kid. You know what I mean? And if you don't learn anything, ladies, I'm going to say this one more time. Just remember, your children should not know every man that you know. And what's that thing about telling your kids To call these men uncle, uncle what? That's crazy. And if you do introduce your child, especially with smaller children, if you introduce your child to somebody, you know how we do that whole, oh, go hug him, or go hug her, or go whatever that is we do. And if your child is not feeling that, they're not feeling them like that, don't force them to do that, right? Respect their boundary in that they don't want to be that close to your friend, right? Because if you force them, what you do is you take their power away to choose. And you put them in vulnerable positions that say just because somebody's older than them, or they have some type of authority, that they have to oblige them, especially when it's something that's uncomfortable. Don't do that to your children, right? Respect their boundaries, because perhaps they're picking up on the thing that you're not picking up. Because children don't rationalize. It's either black or white. You either good or bad. They either fooling with you or you not, right? They keep it cute. They keep it plain. They keep it simple. It is what it is. All right? So that's the conversation. I was going to have a different conversation tonight, but when I got ready to check on, that's what came to my mind. Serves as a warning. Somebody out there, men, women, if you're dating, please, please, please do your homework. Please don't be in such a hurry to invite them into your personal space. Please don't be in such a hurry, right? Find yourself sleeping with the enemy, and I promise you, it's not going to be good. All right, y'all. We've had fun. We'll talk later.